I got to tell you, I'm here in Sweden, and the security crew they're trying to kick me out. They don't like that I'm standing here doing this right now. They kind of want to go home.
Okay, well, we'll make it quick then. Probably nothing to do with you wanting to get back out and to enjoy a little Stockholm, which I would totally appreciate if you did.
Hey, it's already 11:30. I'm saving myself from myself.
There you go.
What did you make of today's game since you were live and inside?
Well, for a while there, it seemed like the Red Wings forgot to show up, that their time zones were messed up. And then the Sens went into a coma, and then they steadied the ship, and maybe the easiest way to say it is kind of hung on for dear life and pulled this out. And that Stützle overtime goal is going to stay with me for a while. It's about as pretty as it gets.
It's an amazing goal. So do you think this win was all about Daniel Alfredsson? I'm just kidding, but it was good to see him behind the bench.
He did get an ovation here. They went to him during the media timeout. And so, yeah, he did get a nice round of applause. Not as big as Nick Lidstrom before the game, and maybe understandably so. But I thought it was fascinating that he was on the bench. And look, I know that this may be a nice gesture because it's Sweden, but we all know how big of a deal it is having Daniel Alfredsson back in the organization and front and center. I can't help but feel like there's something a little more to it. And maybe I'm reading too much into it. And I know he said that this was at the invitation of the coaching staff, and good on them. But it sure does feel like a team that has been off to a certainly rocky start has a Hall of Famer on their bench to either help steady things down or someone that has a direct line to management.
Did you see Alfie talk much? I know you weren't focused on him, but I was just curious. Every time they went to a shot of him, he didn't seem to be talking. So I was just curious if you saw him get very involved.
I did not. I wasn't paying that close attention to him specifically, but what I did notice about the Sens bench today that I thought was really interesting, and maybe not even abnormal because you do see it from time to time, but I saw a lot of barking from Brady Tkachuk and also Claude Giroux. You mentioned that he led the night in minutes, and not really surprised based on how the game unfolded and the way he played, but he was certainly in a few people's faces and in their kitchens at varying points during this game.
Do you take it as they were a little cranky after the first?
Oh,
well, I guess they would have been happier after the first.
The second. Yeah, that's part of it. But I also think, look, I try not to read too much into these things, but being and watching and paying attention to the morning skate, there was two totally different teams out there this morning. There was a loosey-goosey, very excited, yapping, chirping Red Wings team. And then there was a very serious, buttoned up, we're in this to win with an intensity mentality from the Sens that I noticed this morning. That, look, you could probably chart, you guys have been there a million different times. Good morning skate means nothing. Bad morning skate, means nothing. It works both ways, but I couldn't help but notice the business-like mentality that the Sens brought here.
So, Frank, I guess it worked for the start, right?
Yeah, it did. You could probably do without that entire second period.
Oh, is that bad? Was it as bad live as it was watching it on TV?
I think it was worse because you're probably watching it, and the second one went in, and as soon as the second one went in, I was like, "Yep, there's no way this game isn't tied."
Wow, you could feel it, eh? You could sense it in the building. You can feel the ice tilting that much.
You could. And by the way, this crowd was excellent. And I know it's mostly pro Red Wing, although, of course, there are a smattering of Sens fans and definitely some people that came over from Germany as well for Tim Stützle. There are fans here from all over. Met a guy earlier today from Scotland. I had Sens fans on my flight over here. They're everywhere. But this was a great building to watch hockey. And, there's people from all different fan bases, Kings fans, Florida Panther fans, if you can believe that have flocked here to Stockholm to see it. And the intensity in the building, like it felt like you were, in Montreal, for instance, on a Saturday night. It was that good. There were that many people that were tuned into every aspect of this game.
It's a great building to play in. It's absolutely It's one of my favorite buildings that I've been fortunate enough to play in. Have you ever gotten there, Yorkie?
Was that the same rink we broadcasted in,
Yes.
Wally?
Globe.
Yeah, I mean,
2017.
I was there in 2017 working with a young Cub reporter, Brent Wallace.
It's an incredible building, and they love their hockey.
It was good. Quickly before we let you go, because I don't want you to get arrested or anything, did you talk to Gary? Was there much said about whether any update, I guess you could say, on the first round pick? I know it was asked if Gary would ever look at possibly thinking over and not or rescinding the first round pick, but did any of that stuff come up today?
It did. Actually, I have my my quotes in front of me, and I thought it was really interesting because he was asked first about his reaction to what Michael Andlauer said in that press conference, and he was like, "Look, I'm not going to get into a public debate." He said, "I don't think that's constructive for me, him, or the league." But he said he's more than comfortable with what the actions the league took, not only on the first round pick, but also on the Shane Pinto suspension. And he was asked specifically about that Devils first round pick that ended up being sort of given back to them. Does he consider this matter closed? Is there a path to eventually get that pick back? He said, "I consider the matter closed, but I'm always open to dialogue with owners on any subject that they want to engage in at any point in time." He said, "Doesn't mean we're inviting that dialogue. It doesn't mean that there will be a change, but Michael is always free to talk to me, and he's always free to express himself as he did, even if I happen to not agree." So it was pretty obvious that he was not very happy with, as you might expect, Michael Andlauer's comments, but feels pretty justified in the decisions that he made.
No, fair enough. I get a feeling if Gary comes down with a decision, it's not likely to be looked at again, is pretty much how I've always felt with.
Just ask the guys who have been appealing suspensions.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It has my opinion,
All right, Frank, I appreciate your time. Enjoy the rest of Stockholm. It's beautiful, as you know. And so thank you for hopping in. We appreciate
Frank,
it.
what's the plan for the rest of the night? Stockholm, what's going on?
I was trying to get him out before I got him in
I
trouble.
want to know.
Yeah, you know what? I'm not going to get into too much trouble tonight. I have one more hit to do for radio. I've got a story to finish, and we'll see what that leaves left on the clock when that's over.
The clock's always running in Stockholm.
The city never sleeps.
Yeah, enjoy.
Thanks, guys. See ya.